there, everybody. Welcome to today's video. It is your boy, ShamWow Cube's Wonderful Lube, Nammy Noob, Shammy Dude, Yammy Noob. Now, today is the day. Summer is behind us. Many of you new squids have likely got a little bit of riding experience under your belt. Maybe it's time to spread your wings and leave the nest for a little bit. It'll do you some good to deviate from your standard trip to and from the coffee shop and instead hit the open road just like the easy riders of history. Or maybe you got a wicked deal on a new bike and as the riding season for northern area comes to a close. Awesome. Now quit your job and ride to a warmer area. You've only got one life and who knows how the natural landscape of some of these areas will change over time. You're going to want to ride the Pacific Coast Highway before erosion causes it to sink into the depths of the ocean, for example. There are so many awe-inspiring and diverse areas of this country that just need to be experienced in the saddle of a motorcycle, so stuff your rucksack full of energy bars and put on your padded bike shorts and get ready for the top 7 most epic motorcycle rides in America. Today's video is proudly sponsored by Cardo. I will tell you more about them later on in the show. We've also got a bunch of cool content in the pipeline, so be sure to subscribe and click that notification bell so you stay up to date on all the cool stuff we got in the works. Okay, let's get started. Any motorsports enthusiast is likely familiar with the first ride up on today's video, but hey, we get lots of new viewers and I must help get them up to speed. So right at the top, we're starting with the Tail of the Dragon. The Tail of the Dragon, also known as Deal's Gap, refers to an 11-mile stretch of US 129 that runs between Tennessee and North Carolina and has become so infamous it has its own website, gift shop, how-to guides, and even more supplemental information. Essentially, it is not just a stretch of road, it's an entire destination and for many riders, the focal point of an entire vacation. That's a pretty serious thing for an 11-mile road, and that is because in those 11 miles, 318 curves have you winding through the Great Smoky Mountains and the Cherokee National Forest. Even though the Tail of the Dragon is only 11 miles, it usually takes around an hour and a half to complete. The road follows the natural curvature of the mountainous landscapes and has been a semi-established route for an indeterminate amount of time. Originally a game trail worn down by herds of buffalo before being adopted as a route by native Cherokees and then European settlers. But it wasn't until the 1990s that the Tail of the Dragon became promoted as a motorcycling destination by Doug Snavely under the employ of a local restaurant and motel known as the Crossroads of Time. It was no longer just a road for local hunters and outdoorsmen. Since then, the Tail of the Dragon has evolved into one of the most valued roads for motorcyclists in the US. There are plenty of other enjoyable roads in the area as well, like the Blue Ridge Parkway, the Gambler, the Snake, and the Devil's Staircase. Another world-famous area to ride a motorcycle is the Black Hills National Forest in South Dakota. The Black Hills are famous for hosting Motorcycle Coachella, the Sturgis motorcycle rally. Even if you don't like dad rock and Bud Light, this area is still one of the best places to ride a motorcycle in America. There are countless routes within the area that are great for riding. You can ride a loop around 16, 385, and 244 and go through Custer State Park, Crazy Horse, and see Mount Rushmore. Or you can ride in the northern part of the Black Hills and see the towns of Sturgis, Sundance, and Deadwood, when the rally isn't happening, of course. There is the Badlands Loop Scenic Byway that goes to the Badlands National Park where the road curves between colorful cliffs and rock faces. Similarly, the Spearfish Canyon Byway takes you along Highway 14 between Spearfish Creek and Limestone Cliffs. Not only is the riding enjoyable with plenty of picturesque curvy roads, but the area is also filled with history. There are monuments, ghost towns, mines, and scenic overlooks, so whether you're a history nerd or just want to pull over and do some Red Dead Redemption cosplay, the Black Hills National Forest is one of the best places to ride a motorcycle in America. If you want the true experience, buy a Sportster for $3,000, ride for a weekend, then sell it and fly home. I think every motorcyclist deserves to have the quintessential Western motorcycle experience at least once in their riding career. Now, if you're going on a long, epic motorcycle ride, you're going to want to equip a Cardo communicator system. No matter the conditions, a Cardo system will help you stay connected with your fellow riders while you navigate the technical terrain of an arduous mountain pass. Then, when you're out in mellower road conditions, you can relax with some music, call your wife, or listen to the directions of the nearest small town diner. I use their Pack Talk Edge, which has great sound quality, looks awesome on my helmet, and is easy to take off and install with the magnetic attachment. Cardo makes our preferred motorcycle comm systems, and we like them so much we sell them on our store at shop.yammynoob.co. Head over there and check them out, and don't forget, every dollar you spend on the site gets you an entry to win one of our giveaway motorcycles. Also, community members over at yammynoob.co get 10% off their order as well. You heard it here, people. Head over to shop.yammynoob.co and get yourself a Cardo comm system. Thanks for sponsoring today's video, Cardo. Now back to the show. Since we've already pitched a tent in the Black Hills of South Dakota, let's look at another amazing place to ride a motorcycle out west, Lolo Pass in Idaho. When you think of Idaho, you might not jump right to thoughts of beautiful scenery and stellar motorcycling. You might think of potatoes or the barren landscape portrayed in Napoleon Dynamite, but you would be wrong. Idaho is not only home to some of the most extreme enduro riding in the world, but it also has some incredibly scenic and fun twisty mountain roads too. Lolo passes in the northern part of the Rocky Mountains and goes across the border of Idaho and Montana. The ride begins in Lewiston, Idaho and follows Route 12 for 217 miles to Missoula, Montana. Unlike riding in the Black Hills, which can often be inundated with tourist traffic, Lolo Pass is usually pretty desolate, making ideal for motorcyclists who don't want to be stuck behind a family of minivans going 5 miles per hour while they hang their heads out of the window and take photos. On a similar note, if you were to venture through the mountains along the pass, be sure to fill your gas tank and make an extra can if necessary, because there's no gas stations along the way. But if you feel like you need a good soak along the way, you can pull off and enjoy the Lolo Hot Springs, just as Lewis and Clark did in 1806, which is pretty cool. If you think the Pacific Coast Highway is too obvious a choice for a scenic motorcycle ride and you'd prefer a more northern view of the Pacific Ocean, consider the Cascade Loop in northern Washington. Now, I will say the PCH is definitely a bucket list ride, and I highly recommend it. I've ridden on it several times, but this route is best saved for the summer months, as the northern latitude and changing elevations can get you some snowy conditions even in the spring or fall. Riding through the entire loop will take a few days, so plan accordingly and stuff that GS with plenty of supplies to keep you safe for a couple days on the road. This 430-mile loop encompasses highways 2, 97, and 20 and takes you across vast and diverse landscapes. You'll ride through alpine mountains into desert regions, across rivers besides lakes, and then out into the Pacific Ocean where you'll hop across islands into Puget Sound. This is a pretty unique part of the country that encompasses so much ecological diversity in a pretty concentrated area. And if you're not into sleeping on the ground, there's plenty of towns in the area that cater to tourists with lodging and food, so you don't have to worry about being completely isolated for all too long. It is hotly debated whether to start the loop going east into the mountains or west towards the ocean, but either way, starting around the southwestern part of the loop on Highway 2 just north of Seattle seems to be the most common place to begin the journey. Another coastal motorcycle ride that's a must-see for riders in the northeastern part of the country is Coastal Route 1 in Maine. This road travels along the coastline of the Atlantic Ocean and connects cities like Portland, New Brunswick, and all the way to the northern Canadian border. There are mountainous curves, lush greenery, and fresh ocean air. Plus, there are plenty of places to stop along the way for bathroom breaks and lobster rolls. You can even step off on Route 1 and head further south into Acadia National Park and spend some time in Bar Harbor. Maine is kind of slept on, but is definitely worthy of a spirited motorcycle adventure. Route 1 spans the entire east coast of the country, so it will be up to the rider to determine where and how long they want to stop. But I think starting at Maine and New Hampshire border and taking Route 1 until you reach Acadia would be an incredible journey. That is about 6 hours of riding time, which is perfect for a weekend trip with extra time for sightseeing and exploration. Interestingly enough, Route 1 takes you all the way south to Florida, where you'll find the next entry on our list, the Florida Keys Scenic Highway. I think they've got plenty of mountains and old-time Americana on this list. It's time to spread break, baby. We're going to the Keys. Palm trees, sea turtles, old people, frat bros, the Keys has it all. The Scenic Highway goes 110 miles from the Jawfish Creek Bridge in Key Largo, just south of Miami, all the way down to mile marker 0 in Old Town Key West. The highway crosses 43 Florida keys and is straddled by the Atlantic Ocean on either side. This might not be the ideal ride for someone who wants to drag me in some twisties, but is instead an opportunity to ride in board shorts, flip-flops, and an old open Tommy Bahama shirt while being applauded for your commitment to the lifestyle instead of being scorned by AtGat trolls. So we've got mountain rides on the list and Pacific Coastline, Atlantic Coastline. So for the last epic ride on the list, I want to talk to you about the acclaimed Third Coast, Northern Michigan, baby. Specifically the Tunnel of Trees. The Tunnel of Trees is a 20-mile stretch of M119 that goes along the northwestern edge of Michigan's Lower Peninsula overlooking Lake Michigan. You'll start this journey in Petoskey and take US 31 until you get to M119, and then you just go north. The road meanders through super dense forests and at that many times form a complete canopy over the road, hence creating the Tunnel of Trees. The road itself will only take about 40 minutes each way, but there's so much cool stuff to see in that part of the state. You can hike through trails or sand dunes or explore all the small towns and funny names that only Midwestern people know how to pronounce. If you're really feeling the Northern Michigan motorcycle adventure, you could take a trip over the Mackinac Bridge into the Upper Peninsula and ride west along Highway 2 on the southern coast of the Upper Peninsula. Northern Michigan has a pretty fascinating natural landscape, which earns it a fitting spot as the oddball honorable mention on the list. I've visited Michigan Michigan many times, and I actually really think is a very, very, very hidden gem. Very slept on. How many of these epic rides have you been on? Let me know down in the comments below which one I left out that deserve a spot on the list. Thanks for watching until the end. Be sure to subscribe if you like the content, and I will catch you later. Fact: with 203 million copies distributed to design lovers around the globe, IKEA's yearly catalog sits besides the Bible, the Quran, and the Harry Potter series as one of the most popular books in the world. Goodbye.